Just recently I've decided to grow some microgreens. Now I'm not going to grow them out in the balcony like the other things I've been growing out there because they would probably die out there. It's just a bit too harsh. Make sure you pick a nice sunny spot that gets plenty of sunshine throughout the day and your microgreens will be really happy. Had some leftover seeds, some coriander and basil from Australia, so I thought I'd do a bit of a test with those first. You don't have to, but you should soak your seeds first for about 24 hours before you plant them. With coriander it's best to crack the seeds because they have a very hard shell. I had to do it 2 times and I don't think I got all the shells, but like I said, it's better to crack the shells. It helps the seeds to grow easier. Okay, I'm just going to put those in the water to soak as well. I like to recycle stuff, so I'm just experimenting with a bit of a setup here. 2 cut bottles put into a milk container. Then I'm going to put some pebbles at the base to stop the dirt from clogging up the holes that I put in the bottle tops there. Just helps with drainage. Now these bottles that I have, not really enough to produce a very good harvest, but it's good enough for my experiment. I'm basically experimenting with which one tastes nicer, the basil, the coriander, and also I'm going to grow some flax seeds as well, which I'll show you in a minute. I'm just covering them there because it simulates the actual growing process if you cover them and keep them out of the light for a while. Okay, they've just started to sprout. The basil went first and the coriander's a bit slower, but it will catch up later. The 24th of May, starting to take off a bit there. These are the flax seeds that I decided to experiment with as well. They actually grew quicker. I planted them later, but they grew quicker. The basil and the coriander actually do taste nicer, but living in Indonesia, they're a bit expensive because you have to source them from Australia. The flax seeds you can buy in the supermarket, so they're cheaper. So I will grow flax seeds for my microgreens, which I'll show you at the end of the video. The basil and the coriander are pretty tasty, I must admit. Now, how to know when to harvest them? You get the 2 leaves there and then you wait for another 2 leaves to pop out in between the main 2 leaves. You can just see them if you look closely there. And in the next slide I've actually circled some, not the next slide, sorry, the slide after this. I've circled some so you can see it a bit clearer. The one there on the right has probably grown a little bit too long, but it's still okay. When harvesting, just gently pull them back. You can use some scissors and you can also use a very sharp knife, but just be careful of your fingers, of course. Now they didn't grow that long because there wasn't that much dirt in this container. Then put them into a strainer, wash them just to get any residue that might be on them. Then put them into a resealable plastic bag and pop it in the fridge, and it should last you 3 or 4, even 5 days. These are my flax seeds. I use 2 containers, one with a lot more dirt in it, and you can see it's produced a very just overall longer stems. The other one is to catch the water. I have holes in the bottom of the top container to let the water through, and I gently sprinkle on top to get some water in from the top as well. I'm really happy how these flax seeds have grown here. It's enough for one person, and just remember to start growing another lot when you're nearly finished.